All right, a lot of y'all may have gotten very lucky or even just straight up saved your stones properly and gotten dupes for the Part 2 anniversary LRs, which are the Super Gogeta, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, and Goku Frieza. I've gotten a lot of questions from you guys about how you should build the hidden potential system for these characters, and we'll be talking about all three of them in today's video. Now, there's one thing that we need to address before anything else, and that is skill orbs. You can choose to put skill orbs in the characters now, but I would not put any skill orbs that are not EX skill orbs. The reason for that is because of this event that's on the screen, the 10th anniversary battle. Last year, this was the 9th anniversary battle, and we were able to get skill orbs for all the new anniversary characters, like Beast Gohan, Blue Gogeta. All four of the 9th anniversary LRs got equips. So that means that this year, for the 10th anniversary, all 6 of the summonable LRs will be getting equipments through this 10th anniversary battle. So they're probably going to be the best skill orbs for the characters, more or less. I would definitely recommend to just hold off and putting any non-EX skill orbs, and maybe if you have a better non-EX skill orb when these guys roll around, you could give it to them. But frankly, I would say these are probably going to be the best ones that you will be able to get. We don't know exactly what they're going to be or how they'll look like, but we should be able to find that out within the next week or two. I know it's tough to hold off because you want these characters at their max potential, but trust me, it will be worth the wait. Now, of course, we're going to start things off with the Gogeta card. I think that's the one that's pretty much the most popular out of all three of them. And we'll be going through each of these different forms, breaking down what hidden potential that they already have. And then from there, at the end of things, we'll talk about what could they gain from the hidden potential system. Because at the end of the day, my opinion will be different than how some of you guys may view the game. So that's why I want to at least break down first, that you may make your own decision at the end of the day. Now, we'll start off with the Vegeta portion of the card, as that's the card that you just, begin with. Vegeta right there. Vegeta, he does have a couple of things that could really influence you off the bat. Now, if we start things off, at 10 or more ki, this guy is super effective against all types. So that is a nice little ability in terms of offensive damage. You'll be able to do the boss. And offensive damage is a funny term, but yeah. Next, when this guy's at 20 or more ki, he does get a guaranteed additional super attack. So this character usually is very easily hitting 20 or more ki. So you could pretty much mark that in as a thing that you'll see almost every turn. Finally, as a second or third attacker, this character does have a normal attack, which has a 70% chance to become a super attack. And keep in mind, all these attacks that is in this character's passive skill will actually count for the hidden potential system proc. So since he is, like, let's say, even if you have 10 additional, that is a 20% chance to proc an additional. That'll be able to be a 20% chance on his normal 24 ki super, a 20% chance separate on his 10 ki, and then another 20% chance as the second or third attacker. Now, of course, the hidden potential system only procs once, but as long as you meet the proc within any of those additional supers that you can do, you will be able to activate the hidden potential one. That's pretty much all Vegeta does. He doesn't really have anything special, so if we break down the total, he is at 2 additionals, 0% crit, but he does have super effective against all types, and then a 0% chance to dodge. So that is, again, just Vegeta in general. Now, of course, we do have the switch mechanic, which we could see right here when we tag switch into the Super Saiyan Goku. Now, Vegeta is more of a slot 2, slot 3 damage dealer. Goku is more of a slot 1, like, defensive character, so he does have a bit of different abilities. Now, if we talk about Goku specifically, when you're at 1, I said that's weird. He just start of turn has a additional with a 70% chance to be a super when attacking. So obviously you're most likely gonna attack during the turn. Unless this guy's stunned, I guess he won't get the additional, but he can't attack at all anyways. Now, that is, just a pretty decent thing to start off with, just one guaranteed additional right there. Now, on top of that, when he's in the first slot, he has a 70% chance to dodge. So unlike Vegeta, this guy does have a very good chance of dodge building in. Beyond that, when he receives attack with 10 or more ki, he does get another 10% chance to dodge. That does only activate once. Keep that in mind. That is not something that can happen multiple times in the turn. That is just a singular activation. And then finally, at 20 or more ki, this guy gets an additional super attack guaranteed. So when we break down everything, this guy has 2 additionals. One of them has a 70% chance, one of them is a guaranteed super, 0% critical hit, and then an 80% chance to dodge. So again, this guy is definitely a much better defensive variant. One other thing that you can consider is that this guy does stack defensively on his 18 and 12 key super attacks. If we take a look here, his 18 key super attack is a 50% defense raise permanently, and his 12 key super attack is a 30% defensive raise permanently. So over time, he'll be getting stronger and stronger in terms of his defensive stat on top of the dodge ability. Now, of course, the big finisher is when you decide to go ahead and fuse into Super Gogeta, and that is from specifically the Vegeta side of the card. Once we get Super Gogeta out, I mean, this guy is pretty much doing everything. If we go ahead and take a look just at his kit, Gogeta just straight up has an 100% chance to crit. He does have... Oh, I messed it up. 1 second, chat. Okay. Wait, I enlarged it the wrong way, chat. Uh-oh. No, so he has a 100% chance to critical hit. He has 2 guaranteed additional super attacks. And that's pretty much it there. He has the 2 additionals, the 100% crit. But then he has 0% dodge with guard and 60 to 85% damage reduction. So whilst he does not have any ability to dodge at all, he does have huge defenses. And keep in mind, if you're able to stack with Goku in any shape or form, this guy is just absolutely not taking any damage. So this is the total abilities of what they're all doing. Now, I think the most prominent thing with this character is these additionals. Every single version of this character, whether it's unfused or fused, does have 2 additional attacks built in. Given that they're also an AGL character that has inherently a lot of additionals, I feel like that's not really a focus you need to give this character. I would say, you know, when it comes to critical hit, even though Super Gogeta does have the guaranteed crits, the Vegeta and Goku have literally no crit chance whatsoever. And especially Vegeta as an offensive type character, I do think crit is definitely not a terrible idea. Or at least like some critical hit into their kit, just because, you know, not really a bad thing at all. Then when it comes to the dodge aspect, I think that's also a pretty good option because of the fact that Vegeta has no chance to dodge. Gogeta has no chance to dodge, even though he has the high reduction that won't take anything. It is always good, I think, to kind of round out the unit, and it's the only thing that will really be useful to him because of the fact that he already has the 100% crit chance. So what I'm thinking is pretty much just like maybe a focus on a balance build between all 3 of these, right? And that's funny, the balance build. It's a funny term right now, but I think that that is probably the best way to go. You could theoretically, you can go either way. I think the only thing I wouldn't go all out on is crit, probably, just because crit, this guy, like, if you crit, you'll get by the event faster, but also that makes it less likely to even get Gogeta out in the first place, I feel like. What I really think could be useful is dodge, especially for Vegeta. The dodge aspect of Vegeta having none, it would just be useful to make sure that he doesn't potentially get sniped, especially when it comes to future content. So me personally, I'm going to be building this guy whenever I get use of him in the future with a majority in dodge, some crit, and then some additional, kind of like a mix between crit and additional, because I feel like either way of those could be useful. But primarily dodge for me is what I'm going to be doing. But again, I just wanted to make sure we listed everything out, and you guys can go ahead and decide from here. We'll be next talking about Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. Now, luckily, Super Saiyan 2 Gohan is it's literally just a standalone variant of himself. There's no transformations, nothing like that. You're able to just use him very just easily straight out the gate. And I think overall, he's going to be more simple in terms of the hidden potential system too, which is really nice to see. So let's start things off talking about what he's doing for the first 5 turns from start of battle. And this is part of his entrance animation. You do need to have a full power or Android Cell Saga ally in the team, but that's not really the biggest deal ever. For the first 5 turns, this guy just has 2 guaranteed additional super attacks. Actually, this is my bad. This is the first 4 turns of battle. That's actually completely my fault. Yeah, turn 4 is definitely a lot, you know, at least for the first 4 turns. It will be the 5th turn when you lose this ability, but I just want to clarify that for y'all. He also does get 1 to 5 additionals, each of which has a 30% chance to be a super. And how that works is it's depending on the amount of enemies you're facing. So if you're facing 3 enemies, you get 3 additionals. If you're facing 1 enemy, you get 1 additional, right? And each of them would have a 30% chance to be a super. Beyond that, he doesn't have anything else when it comes to hidden potential system just early on. So we can go ahead and talk about what happens from turn 5 onward, which he just has a 100% chance to crit as long as he's attacking with 24 ki. But this guy gets so much ki. He gets 5 ki just start of turn. He builds up to an extra 5 ki. So just based off of that alone, he is already sitting very nicely at 16 ki. Then, you know, we can include links like prepared for battle, shocking speed. He gets 1 ki per piece for obtained. He's not struggling to hit 24 ki. So, I mean, it's pretty much guaranteed unless you go out of your way to avoid this guy getting built up, really. So if we go ahead and count the total of what this guy is doing, we can see that turn 1, he has 0% crit chance, 0% dodge, then he can get up to 3 to 8 additionals. Then from turn 5 onward, this guy has 0 additionals, 100% crit chance, and then 0% chance to dodge. So I found myself in situations where Gohan, even after redupe, is able to live these super attacks, but he does take quite a punch in certain situations. I've had him in the Goku Frieza fight without, you know, the crit chance part of the passive, but these additionals. He still took about 500k from the super attack, and, you know, that's with him debuffing Frieza. That's with the slot 1 character debuffing Frieza, so I fear this character is not going to be able to handle the hardest hitting supers in the game in the future. So if that's the case, I think dodge is actually a pretty smart move, because at least he has built-in additionals. At least he gets to the 100% chance to crit. And it feels like the crit is a little bit of a waste on him. I understand why someone may want to go critical hit on him, just because early on he literally has none and he's doing all these super attacks. It's going to feel like he's not really doing a lot of damage. But I think the point of him doing all these additionals is to build up his passive. He does want to do 8 total attacks. So I feel like the faster you finish the boss off, the less he's also going to build up, which will in turn make his active skill turn potentially hit a lot weaker than it could. And you definitely want to make sure that active skill he's doing is going to be hitting very hard. So I would honestly say, I personally am not really going to give this guy crit. I'm going to go ahead and go full dodge and then the rest additionals. I think, you know, he's a physical character, so he has a lot of additional built in already. So even when you do that, if you give him like 20-25 dodge, he'll still be at like 11 to 15 additional range. Of course, that's depending on different equips and stuff like that. Usually these anniversary battle equips are like, you know, oh, crit and additional or dodge and additional, right? So we'll see, but that's what I'm personally thinking, just to make sure that this character is able to do some pretty good damage already. And once he gets that crit, he's doing like 50 to 60 mil attack stat, just a single one with the guaranteed crit. It just, crit is not really necessary for him, in my personal opinion, but that's just my advice there. The stats are right there. I think realistically, like, again, you can go either way. I think people are gonna act like, you know, it matters more than it does, whilst the advice will be helpful. And I think that with dodge, he'll probably have a more chance of just living. Crits, you know, they're okay, but I would say, Anyways, one extra thing is with additionals, he doesn't have any additionals from turn 5 onward, and him having additional built into his kit in terms of the hidden potential system, while it's easy to activate it, it's not guaranteed, so it will always be helpful to have the extra option to get that last additional when he's early on, and then getting an additional when he's turn 5 onward. That is gonna hit really hard, especially in the active skill turn. So I can see you go full additional and then dodge for the second variant, right? If you really want to make sure you get that additional attack past turn 5, and then like that additional probably is gonna hit by itself like 30 plus 40 plus mil. I mean, honestly, at rainbow level, this guy will probably hit like 80 million to 100 million attack stats on his single super, so that's going to be pretty cool to see. But that is what I would do for the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan specifically. And of course, we'll finish things off with Goku and Frieza. Low-key a little underrated in the community, but we'll talk about what these guys should look like hidden potential system wise. For you Goku Frieza fans, let me know if you're a fan of them in the comment section below. But I think this character does quite a lot of interesting things. Now, when it comes to Frieza, he is just straight up getting an additional attack that has a 70% chance to be a super attack as one of his basic effects. So no matter what, he's always going to be getting that. Then he gets different buffs depending on if you have a super class rotation or if you have an extreme class rotation. So if there's a full super class rotation, of course excluding himself, he does get a 100% chance to perform a critical hit, and then one extra guaranteed additional super attack right there. And when we count the total of that, he's gonna have 2 additionals, 100% chance to crit and 0% chance to dodge. Considering that their team is Battle of Fate, I'm honestly gonna say that I think in a lot of situations you'll be seeing the super class rotation much more commonly compared to the extreme class rotation. But we could talk about what the extreme class rotation is, which is essentially just 2 additional super attacks and no chance to crit. So when we talk about Frieza just in total, he is always going to be doing at least 2 additionals. Then he gets a 3rd additional with extreme class allies and a 100% chance to crit with a super class rotation. So with that in mind, you can see there is literally no chance to dodge. I mean, I'm just gonna say straight off the bat, I think that dodge is probably one of the smartest moves you can go ahead and do on this character. And we'll kind of talk about the Goku now. So Goku's even more simple than what the Frieza is actually doing, honestly. If we take a look at what Goku's able to cook up, he just has 1 additional super attack above 77% HP, and that's it. So he does have super effective against all types. He does have guard, 59% damage reduction. He stacks attack. He actually doesn't stack defense, so I'm gonna get rid of that. He does get 100% defense on his super attack effect, which is obviously, you know, a very powerful ability. That's a lot of defense that guy can get. But yeah, I'm thinking with this character, hey, this guy's pretty much just full dodge. I don't really see an argument outside of giving this character dodge. Luckily, as an inch type character, they will have plenty of options to get dodge. So that's going to be really good because it's pretty much the one thing that they don't have. You could definitely maybe go an additional route in terms of Goku. Frieza also does lower attack on his 12 key super. So if we're talking about like in the battle hardened foes fight, in the worst case scenario you can't stun or you don't get the stun off, Frieza's 12 key super attack does allow him to lower attack. So I mean, especially if you have a full extreme class rotation though, like all that additional, you know, you're not really gonna get as much use out of it like going a full additional build, especially compared to dodge. And I think no matter what, if you have a super extreme class rotation, having that defensive ability as a safeguard could be always nice, because this Frieza, whilst I feel like in that battle hardened foes fight it's not as difficult to go ahead and get the 77% restriction, it is not gonna be a thing you'll always see, especially if we consider red zone, honestly. So with that in mind, he may not always get his 50% reduction, which is his main defensive tool really. I think that having dodge will just always be a useful option for this character in terms of, again, I think this character's role is like a slot 3 character, not necessarily damage dealing. If you have a full extreme class rotation, would it be nice to get the critical hit chance like in the hidden potential system? It would be, but I also feel like that's not really what this character is aiming to do. And if you're aiming for damage, you will basically stack up with Goku. Goku already has super effective, and then on the actual active skill itself, which is from the 4th turn from start of battle, all attacks become critical hits anyway. So even if you use a full extreme class rotation, this Frieza will be able to get his critical hit at least for 1 turn in turn 4 when he uses the active skill, which is of course Miracle Universe 7. I would say crit is, like, even if you are a crit fan, I don't see the idea behind giving this guy any critical hit at all. Like, even compared to like Gohan, you know, we talked about him. He doesn't have crit for the first 3 turns. He will eventually get crit, right? This guy may not have crit in certain rotations, but I just don't really see it as much. I'm personally going full dodge and then additional. If you really just don't like dodge, I guess additional to crit man, but I feel like dodge and additional is definitely the 2 best options to go ahead and go for this character. I think that'll just be really useful for you, and in total will lead you to way more victories than a lot of other situations. But that is all of the LRs from the part 2 of this 10th anniversary celebration. Hope this guide gave you guys help. I almost said hope you guys or something like that, whatever. Thanks all for watching the video. And of course, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.